Welcome back, painters and decorators of the interweb. Phil Beckwith, doing a bit of a follow-up video. Now, last week, you've probably seen that video where we're talking about Bedec, the Aqua Advanced gloss, and saying, is it the best water-based gloss out there? Well, true to my word, we're going to do a bit of a follow-up demo with another product. Tikkurila Everal Aqua 80. Now this product can be used inside and outside, and it's 80 being the gloss, and I think the 80 is really the 80% sheen. So going from 0, 1, 10, 20, 30 all the way up to 80 to 100 being the best gloss you could possibly get, we've got an 80 from Everal Aqua, which is a Tikkurila paint. Now I've used this mainly spraying. I quite like spraying Tikkurila. Tikkurila's a lovely paint to spray, but when I've said about previously why it's not covering, this is one of your bad boys that really struggles covering for a white paint body. Opacity, you could cry. But spraying's different kettle of fish, because you're not putting the paint on with an implement that's pulling it off as you're brushing it around like you do with a brush or a roller, putting it on, pulling it off. Spraying's, as I say, different kettle of fish altogether. But what this is a great product to try against the Bedec. Now the Bedec's had a chance to dry, and you can't see on there because we're getting a bit of reflection, but the body on that is quite good. To say we've gone over the blue, the French chic blue, we've got an undercoat, we've got a top coat, and we've got a second top coat. Looking at that, I'll say a blind man on a galloping horse isn't going to be too critical about how well that's covered. But as I said in the last video, and you'll probably get that there, or do we get it there? I don't know. We get it there. Really, a dark blue like that, I'm going to give it 2 undercoats, stroke primer undercoats, to try and obliterate that blue, to give two top coats over the top. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. I've got Everal Aqua 80, which is your gloss, and I've also got the Tikkurila Helmi undercoat, primer undercoat. Now this product's an interior product. It goes well as an undercoat for the Everal Aqua, so there's no problem of compatibility. It is a bit of a hand-in glove. If you were using the Everal Aqua 80 outside, or any of the Everal products outside, the 10s, the you know, the 30s, the 40, Everal 40, Everal 10. So you've got an eggshell finish, you've got a satin finish, then you've got the gloss finish. If you're using that outside, I would recommend to use the Everal undercoat. But as we're doing a door in here, inside, it's the same sort of product. This is the undercoat. So this Helmi pajama, whatever. It sounds like something I order when I go to the Indian restaurant, but it's not, because it's not an Indian product, it's Scandinavian. Tikkurila Scandinavian. So this will be my undercoat, this will be the primer undercoat. We'll do exactly the same as what we've done before. We'll paint out all that top section. I'll tape it off like I did to leave that as the undercoat. We'll do all the top coat of the gloss, then we'll tape it off again and do a second coat of the undercoat. Forget what I've just said then. So undercoat, first gloss, second gloss, and we'll tape off like we've done previously under there, and we'll see what it's like. So let me get my stuff out and I'll start undercoating up for you. True to my word, still using the same brush, so it's a good experiment of actually using the same brush, applying different products. Now let's see how this goes. And again, I'm working out the tin. I've only got it's about 250ml, 300ml in there, so I'm working out the tin. Don't flame me for working out the tin. Let me flame you for working out the tin, because it's bad practice. But for this, I'm just going to work out this. So here we go. Let's speed it all up. There we have it. I've undercoated it up. This is the primer undercoat, the Helmy primer undercoat. Now I have to say this goes on lovely. The flow on it's actually really nice. I'd probably say it's better than the Bedec for actual application. It feels thinner, but could that be because the air temperature, we've got a horrendous temperature at the moment. I'm in a garage that's really warm. I'm probably sweating like a pig in a butcher shop at the moment, but that actually goes on really nice, and I expect that to go off within 10-15 minutes, and I'll probably be coating it up in the next 3/4 of an hour. Right, so there we have it. I've undercoated that. As I say, it's a really dark blue. I'm not going to expect this Helmy undercoat to cover and obliterate that blue, and that's why I said in the previous video I'd probably give it 2 coats to try and obliterate it. But saying all that, that actually goes on really nicely. It brushes nicely. I've only got these cheap brushes from Wix. What they say, £11. If you've got a trade account, you get 10% off. But you get a nice inch and a half and 2 inch. Nice flagged hammered tip, so they're a soft tip for applying water-based paints, and a synthetic bristle. You can't apply water-based paints with a pure bristle. You probably found that. We're not talking about brushes today. That'll be another video. But the application of that, really good. That is really warm in here. This will probably be dry within about 15-20 minutes, and I'll probably be coating up in the next half an hour with the first gloss top coat of the Everal Aqua 80. Now, if you've not sprayed before, I would say this is a really good product for spraying, and if you've not used this product before for spraying, it dries ever so quick. I can be spraying up stuff and within half an hour it goes off, and you can probably be second coating. It's not like when you're brushing and your brush applications putting on and then pulling off. With a spray application it's totally different, so it wouldn't be fair for me to be comparing this to actually spraying it, because we know Tikkurila products spray really well and we get a good finish with Tikkurila products. But today, as like the last video I did, we're testing it out for brushing, because my gripe and complaint, like a lot of decorators, is water-based paints, particularly whites, don't cover, and they've not got the opacity, and the glosses like this aren't a good gloss. But are they a good gloss? Is it just we're asking a bit too much because we've been used to oil-based, and oil-based paints are always going to have a good gloss? But the beauty of this is it's dry quick, we've got no smell, and what's the other thing? It doesn't go yellow. So give us 10-15 minutes, I'll come back, I'll go and wash my brush out because it's warm. I'm going to wash my brush out every time that I've applied a coat of paint, and then we'll see what it's like. So it's nearly gone off already. We'll see how we go. I'm back. Told you it wouldn't take long to dry. It's like an oven in here. So now with the Everal Aqua 80, clean my brush out. I've just put a strip of tape on because we're keeping that side the undercoat, and we're just going to get a first coat on all that area there. So bear with me and I'll zoom. So bear with me and I'll whiz through it on a speeded up version and be painting a bit of door. So there we go. I do have to say, smoothness of application is beautiful with that. It's really nice. It's really, really good. But bit grinny. You'd expect it to be grinny. Is it nice gloss? It's not a bad gloss. I'll show you in a minute when it's all dry. But for now, sweating. Too hot in here. The problem is water-based paint drying off too quick when you've got a warm environment. But that's not a bad gloss. It's gone on nicely. I'm going to leave it again for another half an hour. I'll come back and then give it another coat of gloss over the top, taping it off like I did with this section, and then we'll come back and assess it all. So yeah, see you in a bit. Here we are. Let's just have a bit of a close-up on these paints. What do we think? microphone round. Now this is the Bedec. Remember seeing that? Primer, 1 coat, 2 coat. That's actually not bad, is it? So we're looking now at the primer undercoat of the Tikkurila. That's the Helmi. And this is the first lot of gloss on all of that. As I said before, forget those runs. That's when I was doing my spraying with too thin a paint. But let's have a look at that gloss. It's got a sheen to it. I don't know how glossy you'd say it is. Let's bring it down to what the Bedec is. What do you reckon? I think what we need to do is tape off this edge here and let's get a second gloss on that section there. So bear with me and I'll come back to you. So there we have it. Second coat of gloss. Now I'm going to say it again. It's very warm in here. I think it's probably thinned the paint down slightly. You know when we say about warm your paint and it goes on a bit easier. That went on beautifully. But it's still just not got that body to it that you'd expect to give you the coverage. Now I put that on. This is always a problem with this paint. Get me in a bit better. It's just starting to creep. Now if I touch that in now, just to lose that bit of a, it's not a run, it's just creeping, it's just got a little bit of a drip. If I flash that in, that's what I get. I get a flash mark. It's damaged the surface. So with water-based paint, you can't touch up if it's going off. So there we have it there. I've just touched that in because there's a bit of a drip forming and it's flashed it. Now if this was oil based, I'd probably be able to just dab that out, and because the open time of the gloss is a bit longer, it'd just flow out and blend in. But with water based, you've got to be very mindful that you don't go back to it and overwork it and overplay it. So you have to work quickly, and with your water based, working quickly, you've got to change your mindset. If you were doing this with oil, you'd be cutting in, you'd be crow's nesting it, you'd be laying off horizontal, you'd be laying off with the tips of the bristles for your vertical, your lengths. You don't work like that. If you're old school and you're used to oil-based paints and working oil-based paints, flip that on your head when you're working with water-based. You've got to work as quick as you possibly can because you've got to get it on. So if it's a case of just applying it quickly laying it off and then up and down with the verticals for your length, that's what you've got to do. Don't mess about with it, don't overwork it because it's drying off on you all the time. The more you play with it, the more you work it, the more it's drying off. So that is a disadvantage of water-based, and I've just touched that there and it's ruined it. If that was a panel door, that's ruined it. I've only done it for the purpose of this testing of the video. But going back to the sheen and the gloss level on this, does my face say it all? I'm going to let that dry and I'm going to come back to it and I'll give you a bit of a close-up because it's not fair. It's not fair to judge it while it's like this. But I can see it creeping again up there. Helmi does creep. Dobbed it out. It does creep. I'd actually say the application of that is nicer than the Bedec, but for the application of it covering and flowing out, the Bedec's probably more user friendly. Let's call it user friendly. And on that note, let's just get it drying off and then we'll come back to it. So see you in a bit. Now then, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this. What do we reckon? We know it was never going to cover over that French Chic blue. We know we want to be giving 2 coats of undercoat to obliterate the grinning, whatever you want to call it, the bleed. Let's call it the bleed. it's too dark a colour to expect to cover with an undercoat and then 2 top coats. But for the experiment, we're doing an undercoat and 2 top coats to see what opacity these white paints are. Am I impressed with the Tikkurila? I'm not. I'm going to zoom in on you. Let's show you what it's like. It's not brilliant. So here we have it. We're under the light. Now, you can see the difference between the undercoat, the first gloss, and again, as I've said, that was just applied to get it on. It's grinning, it's not brilliant coverage. And then we've got the second gloss. Now, I suppose that looks quite glossy, but you can see through it. Look at this. Can you see that? You can see through it. Cast the light across it. Is that gloss any better than the Bedec? No, it's not. I'd say that Bedec is hands down a better gloss, a better opacity, even a better coverage. To say that's only two glosses over an undercoat, that Bedec is a lot better. Even if I zoom in on that, can you see where it is a little bit grinning around there? Compare it to the Tikkurila. Now, I don't want to say the Tikkurila's thinned down because of the heat. It went on nice. It's applied nice. You see where it flashed on me just there. Don't touch it up if it's drying off. No, I don't want to say it's the heat that's thinned it down slightly. I think just generally that's what Tikkurila is. It's quite a thinnish paint. Brilliant for spraying. That would spray lovely. Whether it'd be a good enough gloss for you, I'm not sure. Compare that to the Bedec, which this has been dry a while now. Yeah, still could do with another coat, because we could do with another coat of the undercoat. But actually the gloss of that is a lot better than that. So far on these samples, sample 1 and sample 2, we have Bedec out in the lead. Because I would say if that had a third coat of gloss, or even, let's call it 2 coats of the undercoat, then 2 glosses, I think that would be a lovely coverage. Would it be better on the Tikkurila? Of course it would. But would it be as good a gloss as what the Bedec is? What do we reckon? I think the Bedec's better. So, yeah. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, the winner at this early stage is the Bedec Advanced, Aqua Advanced. Tikkurila not so good. I think now what I've got to do, because there's a few comments mentioning Jono's, the Aqua Advanced gloss, whatever that one is, the Advanced gloss. Oh, give us some comments there. Tell me which is the Jono's gloss you want me to try, even though I've used it before. But we will try it, and we'll do it on the lower section there, and we'll compare the 3. Unless, I'm going to say unless, there's another manufacturer out there that's seen this video and wants to put their paint up for the Phil Beckwith, the professional painter and decorator, test on Doris the Door. Could we do that? Would that get me my Porsche? Is that classed as sponsorship if somebody sends me some paint? Don't know. Not worried. But no, not brilliant, really good. And on that note, I'm going to say see you on the next one, and we'll test out Jono's water-based gloss, because I think that might be a lot better. But don't forget, is it water-based or is it a hybrid? Questions. Click these links at the side. It all helps towards the fund for the Porsche.